Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Om. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. Rhythms of nature. It's obvious that we experience only a small slice of the totality. Our senses and the brains is designed only to grasp the thin bandwidth of what is called the external world. And we make such a big noise over it. That is the only reality. Thank God for the advances in science. It's showing us a whole vast spectrum of reality that's we are oblivious, ordinarily oblivious. Thank God for all these various machines now. We're getting a kind of a glimpse into it. It's like somebody's giving you a big pizza and then pulls it out, and then you manage to grab a small slice out of it. That is our world. That is our reality. If we can catch that, the subtle vibrations in nature, you will see it's a very grand symphony. The whole universe, tangible and intangible, is in a state of rhythm. Sometimes, as we know, these rhythms are discordant, obviously. But if you see them as very isolated phenomena, yeah, they might seem discordant. When you integrate them or put them in a kind of a meta melody, then it makes a little sense. So we see this entire universe from the very smallest to the greatest structure in the universe are all in a state of vibration. And every vibration must understand that it has to have a wavelength, etc. Because to discover anything, you have to know the very basic structure of what thing, of the human being, of the world, of the galaxies, or whatever. You've got to understand. And at the very basic, one of the basic fundamental structures is the rhythms of nature, the vibrations. Even cognition, brain functions, there's a rhythm to it. Life itself has a rhythm. Rhythms are just patterns. And vibrations, rhythm, patterns means movement, power. So it is not chaotic, as we can see. Apparently it appears chaotic in one sense, but then you look at it, integrate it in a higher structure of rhythm, then you'll say, oh, it makes sense. Oh. So the entire universe, visible and invisible, is a movement. It cannot be otherwise. There's a famous line in Shakespeare, I'll quote, in the play As You Like It. Tongues in trees, books in running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. Yeah. Tongues in trees. Trees, yeah, in nature. There's knowledge, wisdom you can gain from nature. Running brooks, similarly, it means that. There are books you can learn, you can read the book of nature. Sermons in stone. There are certain things that speak to you of very deeper realities, likened to a sermon, and good in everything. Why? So there's so much evil. Yeah. Let's not go into metaphysics. Let's stick to what Shakespeare said. So thinking of the world as rhythmic, it's a very beautiful, you can say, concept. The elements, water, fire, air, earth, and all the elements in the table have their own rhythm. Yeah. The changing seasons, rising and setting of the sun, the tides flowing in and out, heartbeats, the orbital planets, and everything else is kind of huge galaxies. They are moving around in a circle. I mean, circle, huge circle at times. There is chaos and there is order, both. And it's so beautifully structured. The forces of nature, yes, you can call them the forces of nature, you can call them nature itself. But if you can look at things in terms of harmony and rhythm and melody, yeah, you are looking at a deeper aspect of our experience. Otherwise, the experiences will be just that thin bandwidth, what your senses and your brain can interpret, and that is our biggest illusion. We don't see the entirety of what is out there. Physically, every object has a resonance. The human body itself has got a resonance. It vibrates. Of course, there are all the different organs and they have their own. If you stand in front of a very loud machinery, you are going to absorb all that, the vibrations there, and later will make you sick. Even the mind. So there are some studies, given that a healthy body resonates at 62 to 70 megahertz. I don't know if this is absolute value. Okay. But there have been therapies designed at 40 megahertz that vibrations is kind of, you're exposed to it. And they claim that it can take care of a lot of diseases. Again, these are claims. But the fundamental thing is, the body is in a state of vibrations. Taken all together, the different parts of the body, they have their different resonance, but average them out and there is a vibration. When there is a kind of a moral coherence within us, that is melody in our lives. You'll see whenever there's discord, the notes are discordant, your actions become discordant, your words become discordant, and thoughts, of course. Let's put it like this. There are two layers within us, the outer and the inner. And every spiritual discipline speaks about integrating your words along with your thoughts and actions. There has to be a kind of a coherence there. This is important because the inner and the outer worlds, the world of experience and the experienced, because we are active participants in this world. So we need to gel inner and outer worlds together. That makes kind of for integration. The brain waves, we have brain waves. Whatever you're doing, your brain is giving off. When you're sleepy, it's delta. When you're lazy, when you're tired, when you're meditating, whether you're working or you're thinking, there is a pattern. What I'm trying to get this as that there is something called a pattern or vibration. Sound is vibration. You're sitting down listening to me and it's transmitted to the ears, etc. Each word we speak has its own signature melody. And we know how songs and music has a tremendous effect on our being. There's something called entrainment. You listen to music and you start tapping and clapping along, tapping your feet, something like that. You're going to do. Even if you don't understand the languages, that music itself makes you jump and dance. Many of you have gone for these music shows and you know what happens to you. Something takes control of you. So everything is in a state of movement, vibration. This is found on large scales. It has a coherence and a rhythm. These are the rhythms of nature. So what has that got to do with the mantra? What is the mantra? Well, the same, like I said, every word has its particular signature because it evokes a corresponding idea. Any sound evokes a corresponding idea in the mind. So, when you repeat a mantra, it influences the mind itself. And not only your mind, it influences others' minds around you. If you start doing spiritual practices, you're going to transform everybody around. Then nobody will say, I'm completely misunderstood and nobody can understand me. And keep on doing your spiritual practices for your health and for your mental health and for others' mental health also. So a mantra affects your mind, affects your body. And we can see as it affects the environment also. From this you can understand that you are connected, not only to the others, but to the environment. This is a great interconnectedness. You, me, a piece of rock, tree, everything are connected via the rhythms of nature. Now, this is the grand symphony that's going on. At the lowest, you can say visible, through machines, of course, the universe, you see a kind of a rhythm there. Whether you call it subatoms or whatever, viruses, everything. So I said life itself is a rhythm. In Vedanta, it's called prana, the vital force. And the vital force vibrates. The mind vibrates with it. The body vibrates. It has a natural rhythm to it. And it's not only these layers are within us. These layers are also out in the external world. We are apt to think of ourselves as separate from the external world. Imagine if we were really separate from the external world. We wouldn't be able to eat anything, breathe, drink water, anything. Just completely, at the fundamental level, we are all connected. There is no I and you in nature. There is only the rhythms. The I and you is an illusion. So, the entirety of spiritual practices is to break down this feeling of separateness. We go on strutting about, oh, there's nothing, nobody like me. It's just like a small bubble on the sea, thinking, there's nobody like me. And then it pops. So, nature doesn't bother about millions are being born and millions are being dying right now. It is interested in that grand symphony. But for us, oh my God, nothing. We're going to pray and so many things, but you get the idea. So in this great, you can say, patterns of nature, this melody that's going on, we are also its participants as well as its recipients. We are part of that giant fabric. It is impersonal, nothing to do with you and me or all that. So this interconnectedness of all things is important. Like I said, everything vibrates, and even this thing appears solid and stationary, doesn't. It just appears. It isn't solid and stationary. So there's this music, rhythms everywhere. So there is a natural flow to nature, and no one has been able to stem or stop it. In mythology, we have various, you can say, illustrations, like Shiva with his dance, or Kali with her dance, or whatever. You get the idea. There's a rhythm, nature. So as we keep on doing a mantra, the first thing that happens is we start getting integrated externally and internally. Our thoughts and words correspond to our actions. That's very important. Because if there's dichotomy, then there's always a problem. Nature is always struggling to unify things. Always. That's the first thing. You do anything in nature, you put a huge, maybe hydrogen bomb. And after the explosion, everything will settle down and start coming down. Nature cannot exist separately because it won't be nature. So nature is trying to constantly unify itself. But that's the plan of nature. And there's no, as I said, there's various levels of creation that we experience. And so various levels of rhythm. So it's a kind of an orchestra, different musical instruments playing together, bringing out this harmony. So there's a natural flow to life, that unification. Life does not go out quickly. Death, oh no, it has long been discarded. Death is another illusion. There cannot be any death in the universe. As long as the universe is there, there is no death. It appears your people are being born and dying. So this sense of harmony, I remember a long time ago, there was a very senior Swami trying to not only convince me, also scold me for not paying too much interest in Sanskrit grammar. You know, Sanskrit grammar is, it ties your brain into knots. And so he saw that I was resisting. He says, we are together, and say, okay, close your eyes. I close my eyes. And he never asked me to do anything, just close my eyes. And as we were sitting, it was late evening, I could catch the various sounds that are happening in the room. There was the old light that was buzzing, and all the sounds. It was still, and I could hear the vibrations. Saying, if you learn Sanskrit, Sanskrit is nothing but a set of vibrations put in a structure. And then you see, yeah, I could understand then that all the various musical scales and the genre called ragas and the raginis in Indian music was nothing but listening to certain times of the day. If it is morning, nature sounds something like this. Late morning, it sounds slightly different. Afternoon, evening, night. That's the reason why they do not mix up the morning raga with the evening. Swami Vivekananda was surprised when he came here to the West, and he's saying, how come you play the same music in the morning and in the evening? We don't do that. So these great sages, they were kind of composed by sages, by listening to nature at different times of the day, and they got it from there. That is the basis of Indian classical music. I won't say it's exclusively. Other cultures also have understood this depth. It's not something human, like soldiers marching or you're going to a funeral. No. This is nature. So they have incorporated these structures in their art and the music and the sculpture, etc., etc. So whatever we do affects us. Like we listen to music, we are talking, we are walking, we are doing everything. It affects us, affects the rhythm of our body. And that's why when you're doing japa, it's going to affect you. It puts you first. You know, people say, oh, I'm sitting down, but my mind is so restless. I just can't seem to be practicing, concentrating. And then after a while, we are advised to persist. And then as you persist, you'll see the restlessness being reduced. And as the restlessness is being reduced, there will come then concentration. As you go down deeper and deeper, and to go down deeper into the layers of your own vibrations, own patterns in your mind, you need a mantra that's going to carve itself in your pattern. It will integrate itself within all the other vibrations that are happening around you. Yeah, that's a fascinating thing. That mantra, the sound of the mantra, will start integrating first in your speech, in your mind, in your body, in your prana, in your life breath. Then you will feel your entire being, your physical existence and your mental existence is vibrating with the mantra. Every word has a power. As I said, every word has a signature. Every word has a power. Yeah, this was known. Suppose I call somebody, "You're stupid." See what happens. The guy will come to. So you say something nice to somebody, person who's depressed, that person straightens up. So there is inherent power there. And to know this, to use it to our advantage, is to enter into the realms of spirituality through the mantra yoga. It's very important because at a very deeper level, the mantra itself becomes like imperceptible. The vibrations of the mantra, as they are going on within your body, initially you'll feel you're sitting down, you're the body. Then as the mantra gets deeper and deeper, you will stop feeling your body. You will feel yourself as the life force. You will feel, suddenly you feel expanded. And then as it gets deeper, you will experience yourself as mind. Yeah, that's another thing. So you'll experience yourself not as a body and even the life of the mind. And as you get deeper and deeper, you will experience yourself as just intelligence. And all the while, you feel expansive. It's called oceanic. You feel vast. At that point, the vibrations will become imperceptible. Okay. And that's, but you will be able to catch it. So that's the reason why they say japa, repetition of the mantra, leads to meditation. There you will get rock solid meditation. It's like vibration without vibrating. So the movement has become very fine. So these various layers which you enter within yourself, slowly and gradually, inside. In a way, you are entering the universe. Yes. Now, let's switch. Okay. In the depths of space. Now, we think when we were young, we used to read all this, the Venus, Mercury, Earth, Mars, because the pages were so small and everything was. You try going there, People are thinking of it now. The distance is vast, and outside the solar system, it's, oh my God, mind-bogglingly vast. And it is silent. Extremely silent. You cannot detect anything there, except sometimes a flash or something like that. But the yogis say that there is a sound. One of the properties of sound is space, or the properties of space is sound. This is one fundamental tenet in Vedanta. It's called Shabda-K. The property of space is sound. So the yogis say there is a sound. It is called unstruck sound. Yes, to get any sound, you need two things. Yeah, you clap. So it's not like what's the sound of one hand clapping. There is a sound in space, external space. It's vast, yeah, space, mind-boggling. Our brains are not designed to comprehend it. Sorry. You might. So just think it's mind-bogglingly vast. And there's a sound. And the yogis say there's a primeval sound called Om. Om. Is it experienced? Yes. But do you have to go to space? No, you don't have to go there. In another basic tenet of the Upanishad is there is a supreme space in your own heart, in the depths of your own heart. It's called space of the heart. Hridaya Akash. That's a supreme space. And within that floats, say, consciousness. You can hear that sound here. It starts here. And that's the reason why this center is called Anahata. Anahata, without striking. This is you hear the sound. Anahata chakra, we call it. That same sound which is out in the external world, in space. So wherever there's matter and wherever there's a vibration, and that all those huge vibration layers are resolved into a high or meta vibration. That higher and higher, that is a meta vibration, meta melody in nature, that primeval Om. Is it heard? Of course. One Swami, he had gone to another Swami, a very senior Swami. So we heard that you hear the sound of Om. So the old Swami is saying, yeah, you hear it now? The young said, yes. And he was surprised when he asked, don't you hear it? No. In Greek philosophy, Greek culture, you call it music of the spheres and this and that. You had all these things. These notes, the musical notes, they are in nature already. Nobody has invented them. We have some musicians here. Nobody has invented. It's just discovered. And generally combination, permutation, and then we have something called, this is my music. It's a music of nature. So in this space, in the supreme space of the heart, it first mentioned in the Upanishads and later subsequent literature in the Vedanta, the Tantras and all, that deep within you, in the core of your being, where the mind, along with the mantra, stops vibrating, as it were, it enters into that meta space of the meta melody. And there, one hears it. That is the sound of consciousness. And it vibrates. So here you can see, there in that space, there is a very ancient verse, Sava Esha Mahan Aja Atma, that great unborn self. Yoyam Vijnanamaya, that which has taken the form of your intellect. Antar Hridaya Akasha Tasmin, is lying dormant, as it were, in the supreme space in the heart. That consciousness. The mantra will lead you to this. As you go deeper and deeper, you will find you are entering not only yourself, but the universe. Other people think I'm doing my spiritual practices only for myself. That is such a biggest blunder in spirit. People start with that. That is the biggest blunder. You are starting your spiritual practices, the meditation or your repetition of mantra, to become one with the universe. The illusion of separateness goes away. And what remains is in that sea of consciousness. Then you will find that all the individual mantras, and there are millions of them, have their basis in this primeval sound of Om. Not only the mantras, all speech, even this speech, has its origins in that primeval sound. So you start integrating everything, your thoughts and words, and they are all outcome of that primeval sound. And the idea is to go back in to that. That is the root. That is the self. So the Upanishad also says this Om, Om iti etad akshara Brahman. This Om is a symbol of Brahman, both in its higher as well as the lower aspect. So here, your real identity is that. When you can understand that this rhythm of nature is within me, then everything becomes clear. You go on deeper and deeper. As I said, that we see only a bit of this external world and say this is all that exists. That illusion goes away. And then we see the entirety, the whole pizza given to us. Take it. Okay. This is the goal of the mantra. Okay. I'll stop here for today. I don't want to give you too much. No, but it's a fascinating topic. Okay. For a few announcements, Sunday we will be at 10 a.m. we have Swami Premananda, the embodiment of love. Now, Swami Premananda was one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Fascinating life. It'll be a study on his life. We also have the Sunday school mother's children at 9:50 a.m. and importantly, Ram Nam at 7. Okay. So we can take a questions if they are. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. I hope it was understandable. I tried to.